everybody, and happy Spooky's Eve or Halloween Eve to all you ghouls and goblins out there. Welcome to the Paladins Pro Circuit community broadcast. I'm Fawn, of course, joined here by my main man Kresnik today, as we're going to be going over the very first set of today, which is in the European bracket, Mixalazeub versus Celestial Esports.
In the bracket than I thought as I unmute myself because I had to fix 8 things right before we started. 2 teams that are a little closer in the bracket than we thought from the start. I was thinking, oh yeah, Celestial, they're like number 1, right? And Mixalazeub, they're at the bottom. But Celestial, they've kind of been slowly creeping down in the rankings, kind of putting themselves down to 4th place. You know, only Chroma Space separates them and Mixalazeub, so maybe a closer matchup than I thought it was going to be. But Celestial have still fought, I think, pretty effectively against most of the teams that they've been playing a little bit higher up in the bracket. But Mixalazeub, again, they've been gelling more and more as the season's gone on. Problem is, so is everybody else, right? Mixalazeub, they finally settle on a roster. They just have such a disadvantage in terms of the time they've been able to spend together compared to all the other teams.
And you also have to look at it from the perspective of the European bracket. Everything has been so close together, and now we're starting to see that discrepancy where teams are starting to widen the gap in between one another. And that's something it is that it not only is said about the region, but just to sort of piggyback off of what it was that you were saying a couple seconds ago. It's more so just the fact that a lot of these teams this entire season have really been able to sort of stay close together, but now the gap is widening. Now it's harder for some of these teams that seem like they were able to contest with the best of them. They're falling behind, and they're falling behind quickly, and we see that in a couple of the teams that we've been watching throughout the weeks in the European bracket.
Yeah, definitely things changing in Europe meta-wise, but I want to say that just for everybody watching, we are not playing on Vora's Pact. I want to make this very clear. These matches were played before the patch came out. So we ourselves actually, we're jumping through hoops to show these to you. Honestly, just to even have them be played. Things are different on my end just to get them to you, but this is the previous patch of what we will be watching here. And so this is going to be the last hurrah for Bazaar, for Brightmarsh, and for some champions that maybe got hit a little bit tougher than some others. But I do have the map bans for you guys. Mixalazeub do have first pick in this set. Bazaar and Frog Isle were their bans, so none of that. No last hurrah for Bazaar so far. Celestial banning Shatter Desert and Warder's Gate in response. And the first pick as we head into the draft is going to be Brightmarsh by Mixalazeub.
Okay, well, sort of the normal map that we would expect to see. I mean, once again, if it's not Brightmarsh, it's typically Jag. If it's not Jag, it's Brightmarsh. Same difference, if anything. I mean, it's these close together maps that everyone seems to love to play on. Having a lot of cover in Brightmarsh, you play by apartments, regardless of where it is that you play on the map. You can always bet there's cover, and the fights are always going to be close knit because of how many choke points you have to keep watch over. Rom, Genos, both gone. One of the pocket picks gone. Both of the aggressive off tanks actually out of the fray as well. And that's interesting because that leaves Ruckus open for interpretation here on either side because of the fact that Rom and Ash are now out of the pool. Will Celestial get rid of the Corvus? I could only imagine that they would, but they're actually going to let go of the Androxus. We saw this last week where teams were sort of not as worried about the Corvus, more so prioritizing the Genos over a lot of these other things.
Yeah, we're also seeing, sorry, that was actually a messed up ban by me. Genos wasn't even banned, actually. It was all off tanks. I just misread what was happening. It was Atlas, straight up. And with all those tanks banned, I think it makes sense for Mixalazeub to start with something like a Nara. So, you know, they have that sustain on a map like Brightmarsh. It makes sense. And hey, I wonder why I was confused. Probably because Celestial picked Genos as their first rotation. Just a little flip on that side of things. Genos, obviously a fantastic pickup for them. He has the damage boost to the whole team, the little bit of sustain for everybody. That helps quite a bit. And they're going to pair it, of course, with all those off-tank bans. Might as well pair it with a Ruckus. Atlas being banned means that they don't have the way to really stop him from coming in as effectively. The setback, which would have done a great job, I think, of catching him in the middle of the movement now isn't there. So this Ruckus has some potential to dive in almost uncontested, and that Corvus is looking like a bullseye with a dart on the way.
Yeah. And but I wonder if Mixalazeub, if their thought process here is, okay, well, we don't have anything to sort of stop the Ruckus. What if we just outlive him? Like, what if we keep everybody sustained up enough for that to be the case? I feel like that's why you have the Inara and the Corvus on the side of Mixalazeub. Maeve provides plenty of pressure on the flank, and with the use of Midnight means that it'll be a lot harder for Celestial to try and commit to those dives whenever they don't have their ultimates up. Whenever Ruckus doesn't have the Hexafire, it's not like he's cleansing or going to be cleansing that Midnight that Maeve has. It's going to allow things to sort of slow the pace down. That ultimate, when taken into consideration, really requires a lot of thought process to go into because of how effective it can be. Eevee, Vivian, though, are on the side of Celestial Esports. That's pretty good.
I mean, why not, right?
Yeah, right.
You have Eevee, you have Vivian. Vivian is going to, of course, be super impactful. There's a reason she's getting hit with the ban hammer, not the ban hammer, the nerf hammer, excuse me, harder than a lot of other characters coming next patch. And Eevee in Europe is generally the one that is a character that's kind of viewed as the counter in a lot of these situations to Vivian. I personally don't see it happening that much. We saw Clown Fiesta kind of trying to force it into Vivian yesterday, and did not work as well as they probably wanted it to, with them going down to Yoinkers in that matchup. So they have Vivian, they have one of her so-called counters, and Mixalazeub will now have to kind of fish in another place to find one, and Willow might be the answer that they come up with. Willow will do a decent job of splashing under the shield. Problem is, in any aggression onto her or any other hit scans that get picked up, making things pretty difficult for her and Sha Lin to close it out. So Sha, that seems to me like a pick to deal with the Ruckus.
Right, exactly. And I mean, of course, just what happens if Eevee gets into the back line. Of course, he can cripple her too, make it a little bit harder to actually use that wormhole. Koga is going to be the final pick here on Celestial Esports side. I actually like Mixalazeub's draft a little bit more than Celestial, personally. I really think that Willow is huge because that Genos, sure, he'll be able to provide the Luminary buff, which is why you want the Genos in the first place. It makes it hard to trade into any of them. But that also means, in that same vein of thought, that his healing's not going to be as potent. And with Dead Zone, that's going to be even worse. So they have to kill them quickly enough. I like both of these drafts, but I personally give the edge here to Mixalazeub.
Yeah, my thing about Mixalazeub versus Celestial here is that Willow will spam someone, but who? Right? I feel like Celestial is just so aggressive with this Eevee, with this Ruckus, with this Genos. They're going to just run it down a lot of the time, and it's going to be tough for them to really, really stop them. I think Maeve has to kite away. Sha Lin could die to it. Corvus could die to it. There's a lot that could happen, and make that dive just hit exactly where it needs to, more or less here, as I get us into the game for game number 1 here on Brightmarsh.
Yeah, it already seems to be nothing too crazy in terms of talent choices, whether it be cards or whatever it is that you want to see here.
I just want to mention this to you really quickly before we go in. So yesterday, not sure if you caught the end of the broadcast. It was a quick match, Snappin versus Sanguine. Snappin won 3-0. And do you know what they played 2 out of 3 games? Leon Shield Khan.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
And they won both games pretty handily that they played it in. So I'm just letting you know, people are still figuring stuff out. So this could be a day where we see some wacky stuff, honestly, on the last match played in this patch here. Mixalazeub already starting with a bit of a surround. And this Vivian now getting matched up into, but Clostar knocks down low early and has to back up.
Already now finds his first blood here. Slopodopoulos may have overextended a little bit too much. They're pushing into them, but they're already being dealt with handily. Cripple Arrow goes out, manages to find one of them, finds the next shot, and finds the kill. Same thing can be said for Otev in the back. They took care of the healer, but Otev is being brought down low time and time again, not with a nice another kill. If anything, 81% for Mixalazeub already. Wall goes up. Princess Pekka pretty much capping the point the entire time. Koga can't even make it back, but he does manage to slip right on through. Slopodopoulos is still going to go down here. Overtime is still a factor, or at least I should say it just became one that Celestial has to respect quickly enough. Now, once again, on a 5 streak already with the rapid arrow shots as well. He finds some good hits, but 4 HP is all he's going to need to submit that kill onto the vid.
Oh my god, he is just
he's
hitting everything, Fun. He's now missing 7 kills already. We're still at 0-0. And I feel like he hasn't missed a single arrow since we started this game.
Well, okay, now with another kill once again. Rapid Arrow is out. Shield gets burnt on Ruckus, but in the back line, Xenos gets taken care of. Toot goes down, and Kresnik, if you don't mind, can we see the KDA? Because I want to see what Naut has so far. 8-0 already in the first 2 minutes and 30 seconds of this game. He is leading his team to victory.
I mean, can you believe this character's getting a buff next patch, by the way? No worries about that one. I'm sure everything will turn out fine as he gets away from this aggressive dive on the left. Tutu completely isolated, setting up Pekka for their kill.
Already, it seems to be pretty good for them because they managed to use the Fae Flight to force things even more so towards their hand. Davizzi finds one kill. Everyone's finding kills on the side of Mixalazeub. Eevee has to retreat, overextend it, maybe a little bit too much as Xenos, but he can't really escape that regardless of if he's trying to run away anyway. He was just in a bad spot at a bad time. Otev is still up near his spawn. Every single time he peeks, he's going to get hit. And can't overcommit to any of this fight here. Waiting for his team to come back. Ruckus dashes right on in. Same thing can be said for a lot of them, but there's the Midnight I was talking about during draft. They try and force something, and immediately they can't see anything. Now with a double kill once again. Otev blinking in, blinking back out. Davizzi takes care of him too. And just because of that, that might be all she wrote for this round, honestly, Kresnik. They can't make it back to the cart 2-0 already for Mixalazeub.
Mixalazeub, man, really not able to catch up to these other teams. Then suddenly, also Mixalazeub, our Shaolin is 10-0 in like 3 minutes. Unreal performance from the very start here. Only the Dive has gotten a kill. Klosar, Slopodopoulos, Xenost, all coming up with goose eggs there in the frag column. With most of the zeros in the death column for Mixalazeub, only Corvus and Inara have fallen. And that was, I think, most of the time for a team play, right? To enable someone else to do something. So been tough for Celestial obviously so far, but now they have 5 ultimates to spend. They could do, I think, the easiest combo they have in their pocket here is Ice Storm, Time and Space. That could be an immediate pick on somebody, whether it be Corvus, whether it be another one of the squishies. I'll even hop to Otev's POV just to see if that is what they aim for here. And he's a mark early, so it could be, but he's already getting stalled out by these DPS up top.
Firing shots as the back line. Otev is there, and so is everyone else on the side. Selestial Esports, they want to force this here. Hexafire, will they find the hit? Through Time and Space, everything, the whole 9 yards on both sides. And when it smoke clears, Otev finds himself a double. Klosar finds himself a double as well. You have even the Ruckus finding a kill of his own with Xenos to put a cherry on top of the team fight that is now won off of the back of Selestial Esports' very aggressive engage here. They used everything to make sure they could submit that. Now it's up to them to hold on to this zone that they have. They're firing different shots at different people. Klosar trying to engage himself in a one-on-one against Nauk, but Slop is their last hit on him. Uber's Pady goes down soon after that. Inara has to back off, and she's going to be able to escape just barely. Davizzi is being looked at once again. Klosar goes down through Time and Space. Got used way earlier. Seismic Crash tries to get used to counter out the engagement here, and it's going to be enough to stop them. But Celestial Esports are going to keep on rolling the cart for a little bit longer. Yeah,
Celestial, that was just a complete crushing at the very start there. The fact that they spent all those ultimates in the same position, killing everybody up there, and Eevee being the one who gets the kill on the Shaolin means they get into their Ice Storm pretty quickly. That could be another setup for whenever they want to go. Some early poke is being taken, but they get a good trade. And look at Toot over here behind them. I don't know if they're ready for this, but he already lost 2 teammates.
Yeah, and already you have a Corvus blinking forward. No one else is able to really capitalize on that. Uber's Pady not only finds 1, but that's a double kill for him. Same thing for Davizzi, as he's going to show up with a kill of his own soon after that. It seemed to be a very good opportunity for them to try and force things, especially since they forced the Corvus up so far, but I don't think anyone had the health pools on the team of Celestial Esports to even be able to do that, but that's neither here nor there because they want to hit the gas regardless of how last fight went. 2-2 moves in, they want to use the Midnight here, counter it out, but also make sure they can put their foot on the gas, just clap back as hard as Celestial Esports was trying to fight them. 1-for-1 trade already. Pitches Pekka gets rid of 1. Davizzi finds 2, and that's going to be a more even fight, or uneven fight, I should say, for Celestial Esports. Mixalazeub are going to be the ones that take out most of the members on Celestial, and even get some on the retreat.
And a great start for this defense from Mix. I mean, it looked hard there, but they've already pushed so far forward. Pekka cleaned up a couple kills. That Midnight really buys them a ton of space here, and they're even willing to spend a Heat Haze to stay in their face. Right? They don't hit the shot to continue that pressure, but they are still staying aggressive, even if they are now abandoning Princess Pekka there deep in the back line, who is just absorbing so much aggro right now. The entire team has to come back for that kill, sending the rest of Mix back. But Nauk's doing a great job of slowing this down. You see these shots onto the Eevee. Otev just can't get away with anything for free.
It already seems like they want to push for it because they don't really have much of a choice. It's 20 seconds remaining. They have to find some sort of way to touch onto the car. Klosar finds 1, and Otev looks really low. Uber's Pady is going to finish that one off. Davizzi wasn't quite able to get it, but his teammate was able to pick up some of the slack. And that's going to be enough for them to not only submit themselves, at least an even trade in terms of kills, but now Celestial have made their way back to the cart. Will this pay off effectively for them? Only time will be able to tell. And as the fight goes on, it seems like they've at least made it even, but now unevens the odds here. Closar tries to make sure that they can put it back in their back pocket. Xenos finds another kill, and that's already 2 kills, or not really, just more than 2 kills from the side of Celestial Esports. Davazy has to back all the way off, sees if he can get a dismount, an early kill on someone on the way back. Slapadopoulos is down there. They do know that Davazy's back there, but now he has to answer. Now he has to push for it, otherwise he's not going to be there for the fight.
And he's getting just completely isolated by Slop. So hard that he has to literally pop a Midnight just to maybe get back to the team, and he can't even do it. So a wasted ultimate, a wasted life, puts Mixalazeub in a really precarious position and actually hold this.
1-for-1 trade already as the fight seems to be winding down. Overtime is a factor that everyone has to take into consideration here on the side of Celestial, but no one else was able to do much of that. Davazy, sure, he drew a lot of attention away, or at least towards him, and he ended up dying due to that Midnight, but that may have actually worked out for them better than he may have been planning at Kresnik, because it forced a couple of them to look back at Davazy, make sure they got the kill on the way in, but it seems like they lost people on the tail end of that fight right after they killed him. So, I mean, I guess it just ended up working out for him, but Mixalazeub, they're the ones with the 3-1 score right now. What do you think what is Celestial not doing, I should say, in this situation to try and stop Mixalazeub? Anything that stood out?
I think their comp on the offense is just really hard to win, but they can do it on the mids just because of how the teams have to play when they stack like that. I think it helps significantly. Before I continue, though, I want to make a quick note. Someone in chat asks, is anyone on controller in this match? And yes, they are. Salapadopoulos on Celestial is their controller player. Normally the only one in this game, but someone else may be swapped as they do this rollout here. Salapadopoulos surrounding them early, but they're not looking for a dive because Mix have positioned differently, and they've already put early pressure onto Otev in the back.
Princess Pekka being brought down extremely low. Princess Pekka once again finds the kill despite that Hexafire trying to swat the fly in the sky, but you're not gonna find that one. That fly is gonna escape with its life. 23% to 21. Celestial Esports are the one that comes out on top of this mid engagement here. The very first one of this round ends up with a slaughterfest from Celestial Esports, and 3 ultimates still available to them as they now push forward. They want to keep this zone going for him. Princess Pekka gets dismounted, 78%. The Ice Storm goes out and slows them down, 89%, as Anara is still trying to make her way in. You have Davazy already getting Void Grip, manages to catch the kill. 2-2 and Otev find 1 apiece, making it 2. Uneven fight is how this is going to be for Mixalazeub. Diving in the back line, they want to take care of the Corvus. The ultimate gets used from Koga. Looking at Princess Pekka, gets taken care of, and now that's going to be another cemented point for Celestial Esports.
And this Vivian has been kind of silent, but doing so much on the sides, right? Just unable to be really collapsed on at all. Never the focus, but always finishing these kills. Because, I mean, Otev and Slop are all over them, right? How can you turn and focus on that Vivian at all when these flankers are kind of all over you? But a big AoE cripple from that sand trap will slow them down enough to at least give them a chance to get re-healed thanks to their Corvus. But now he's stuck in a little corner here. They could push in off of this, but again, Otev is just putting on so much pressure, and he kills Ubers.
Yeah, Otev takes care of 1. It's going to be a good look so far in this team fight for Celestial Esports. But Mixalazeub, once again, have evened the odds here. Now, they've even made it worse for Celestial to try and push in here. 2-2 gets brought down extremely low, and then gets killed almost instantly. Now, tries to see if he can put a pin in Slapadopoulos, but Slop is going to get 1 kill before he gets taken out ultimately. Xenos and Closar, they have to find a way out here. Can't really overextend, but they're going to hold their ground because Ruckus was close by enough to make that work. Midnight is how they're going to end up with this one. They see that 2-2's diving in the back. They want to peel for Uber's payday, and it works out for them. Now, they will still be able to hold on to this zone that Mixalazeub has.
I love this passive use of the Midnight. I think defensively to counter a dive, it's actually really effective because sometimes you can't really use it aggressively, but just having it to stop them from collapsing on the same target is enough to make a really big difference. And already some aggression from Slop, but he overextends right into Nauk's bow, waiting for him. And Closars tries to get another kill, and this Vivian should be able to win it out.
No, it was 2-2. Closar, Princess Pekka, pretty much 2 for 2 trade, if anything, as this fight is still sort of winding down. Wonder who's going to come out on top of this one. Princess Pekka is actually moving to the back, was able to cement that kill for herself. Void gets Void gripped. That's actually going to be a 1-for-1 trade, as they've now made it back to the cart in a very timely fashion. As soon as they could make it there, honestly, Mixalazeub were able to catch so many of them on the way in. But now it's working out for Celestial in the long run. 2-2 with the double kill. Slapadopoulos is waiting on the sidelines here for an opportunity to engage on anyone. and anything as OTEV blinks up, manages to find the hit and forces one of them back into their spawn. Wall goes up, and so does the Ruckus as he wants to peek over it, overcome those barriers of anything. 1-for-1 trades still. The trades are just back and forth, tick for tack. If anything, and a slop comes out with a double kill. Will it be a triple? He's actually not going to go down here. It doesn't seem like it. He finds the kill, and they've tied this up 3-3. This has been a consistent back and forth between both of these teams.
And these games, I mean, it looked so much in Mix's side, honestly, but I feel like they just keep letting it slip out of their hands. These retakes are so good by Celestial. They're willing to throw their lives away for it. I mean, 2-2, 9-16, but just making space on Ruckus, and that's enough. It's one of the reasons why Ruckus is getting banned at the amount that he is, because you can literally just throw yourself into the middle of the team. As long as your team follows up, it's enough to win a fight. It's enough to get that kill, and now down to a 3-3 with every single ultimate being available effectively. I think Celestial maybe can make it happen, right? They could just combine their ultimates just like they did on the second mid-fight and take it that way. But Mix have enough answers, I feel. The Entropic Breach, the Seismic Crash, if they end up stacking on someone and losing themselves because of a big CC ultimate, it's going to make things a lot tougher. And now, how are they going to dive this Willow with this Fae Flight above the roof?
Well, the callouts have been made. Prince of Pekka know they were on the side, and they used the Fae Flight, trying to see if they can get out of this when Midnight gets used as well. And now you have Uber's Payday having to escape because it's a 2-on-1. He backs off, but the rest of the team follows through. They find the kill. Now Ruckus wants to move in. Gets Void Gripped all the way in the sky. It actually gives him enough leverage to make sure he can get that kill on a 2-2. No fear whatsoever, but Xenos is going to win that one-on-one here. Princess Pekka still cementing themselves on point and staying there the entire time. I feel like they haven't given enough credit to Princess Pekka, but we can talk about that one a little bit later. Every 87% for Celestial Esports already, or not 87%, excuse me, for Mixalazeub already, as Celestial are trying to make their way back in. Now OTEV fighting a 1-for-1 trade once again. And once again, the trades have just been so back and forth. They use the Koga ultimate just to live, but also to make sure that Celestial can come in and find that remaining kill. They're going to have to back off, but a good wall is going to be enough. Through time and space goes wide. And that's going to be all she wrote for this fight, at least. Celestial seems like they have the advantage here, if anything, but that gets swept away almost instantly by Mixalazeub. Overtime being the factor here. Not going to be enough. Closar can't even make it onto the objective. Mixalazeub are going to take this first point in this match.
And that could have, honestly, I was so worried. I'm like, oh, Mixalazeub might just win this. Like, right. Straight up, after how Celestial looked, the start was decent for them. Mix had the point, but Celestial had this kind of miracle retake where OTEV manages to make it in through the window, get that OT, get back out. Made things a lot harder for Mixalazeub, but they stabilize. Even with almost losing Devosi in the backline by the respawning Vivian, Nauk lives long enough so that OTEV's life doesn't really make as much of a difference. Slopodopolis has to use the Cyclone Strike and really low HP and isn't willing to chase the kill onto Nauk, pulling himself away and setting himself up in a position to kind of get picked off easily. Makes things a little bit harder for his team. And we have the stats for not that game, actually. That's something I'm going to have to tell you guys about in a minute. I will pull up the stats for that game shortly. Give me 1 second to get that ready for you. And now we have the numbers from that game. Celestial, Mixalazeub. You can see the a lot of damage that Nauk did, but damage pretty evenly spread across the board for Celestial.
Yeah, and it seems like it worked out pretty well, not only for them, but just for the team as an entire whole, because of the damage that was spread out so well. I mean, even on the side of Celestial, you had a situation where you had people at least, okay, sure, we're racking up 78k, 75k, 84k, which means that obviously, since it went to 3-3, this is about the perspective that you would have been able to see. This is the perspective that you would have expected from Celestial, or from a match that, at least I should say, goes to the very, very last point. 9-18 for 2-2, but that's a typical Ruckus sort of KDA, yeah. Honestly. He's going to be going in all the time. He's not going to stop whatsoever. 20-11 for Nauk. 12-11 for Davizzy. Is there anything that stood out to you in that post-game stat screen that you wanted to highlight?
Yeah, Corvus only dying 5 times against a dive comp. To me, that's the biggest thing, because that Corvus should be dead, against a comp that does right. Corvus can be very slippery, but I felt like they weren't really running a comp that can necessarily punish him quite as effectively. So kind of impressive to see Lars escaping all the situations that he was able to whenever he was getting dove onto. So now quickly, I'm going to let you guys know, and this is super unfortunate, We do not have the demo for game number 2. There was obviously a second game played in this set, and there is absolutely positively no way that I can show it to you. I really wish I could, but that's why those random stats were up before, because those were the stats for game 2, me making sure that I could actually show them to you before this game happened. But what I can tell you is that it was on Jaguar Falls. I can tell you that it was a 4-2, and I can tell you that it was a win for Celestial. So what I will do, at the very least, is show you the stats from that game, because since we can't show you the actual game, I would rather at least give you the numbers and show you what was drafted and how it was played. So let me see if I can get that up for you, make sure I have updated all that correctly, and I have not fully yet, and now it should be completely fixed. This was game number 2, which again, we cannot show you, unfortunately. There was just no demo file created for this game. Impossible to get a replay, especially now that the patch has happened. But we do have an interesting little Inara Atlas kind of pokey comp that Celestial drafted for Jaguar Falls, so we can assume that was played in kind of a defensive style, where they would have kited them and baited them in with a sort of aggressive draft that Mixalazeub have, because with the Makoa, with the Grok, that to me is we are getting speed boosted in, we are running you down, and Uber Spady did a lot of damage, but it couldn't keep up with the raw damage output that and sustain that Celestial managed to draft.
And that's so weird to me, to see the fact that it's 102,000 damage at Uber's Payday. It's now on the Grok. I mean, you have a double killer comp, but not only that, you're really having it for the Tempest on the Grok, like you said. You're being speed boosted in, you're just running them down, right? It's weird to me that they didn't win because they have a Grover and a Nara against a Willow. That's not something that you would expect to see work out at least effectively.
Take a good old look at these KDAs, Fawn, because I think that might tell you a very different story of how this game went. Otev, unfortunately, again, we didn't get to see it, but he slammed. He kind of went 21-5. You know, sometimes you just play against Andros. They fragged pretty hard, and you can't win. Slop also going 19-9, so, you know, a combined 40-14. Between these two DPSs, clearly not getting shut down anywhere near as effectively as they needed to be by them. So we can assume that it was kind of a pop-up game for Otev and Slop. So my apologies to Otev and Slop for us literally not being able to show that game to you. But it is going to be, we're moving on from game 2, which again we cannot see, to game number 3, which will function. Of course, it is 1-1 between these two teams now. Mixalazeub, having lost the game 2 that we can't see, will get their choice of map, and it's going to be Stone Keep. So it's going to be still standards back-to-back. We had Brightmarsh, we had Jag, and now we're going to Stone.
Okay, Stone Keep, once again, a pretty standard map, and I mentioned it before, even though we weren't able to see it. It's the fact that you have Brightmarsh and you have Jag being played back-to-back, which is something you would expect teams to see, and then Stone Keep being picked pretty much cements the fact that this is a pretty regularly picked map overall. These first 3 maps, I should say, at least, were extremely regularly picked, no matter what region it is that you look at. So I'm very interested to not only see the drafts for these teams, but just to see sort of even though we weren't able to see the game, you saw the slash lines, you saw the results from the previous game.
Are they going to ban Vivian or Andrew after that game?
Right, that's exactly what I was about to say. Are they going to ban these characters now? Because they got through, again, the first game they even got through. Will they get through this time?
Well, I will type in the first one to let you know. At the very least, Ash will not be seen as the first ban here for Mixalazeub. So that is staying fairly consistent. They don't want these aggressive off tanks after what the Ruckus did game 1. Although they didn't have one game number 2. They had Inara Atlas on the side of Celestial, and that was enough to help them swing the game a little bit further in their favor as a second aggressive off tank gets banned by Mixalazeub. But Ruckus still kind of open in the ether. They're letting it go by. They're willing to play against it, I guess, because Celestial let it go as well. Mixalazeub, if they don't want 2-2 to get this Ruckus, I feel like they kind of have to pick it right now.
Yeah, they definitely would need to lock it in first pick, but they rather stick with the Inara here. I mean, might as well go with Reliable, honestly. I mean, Inara is somebody that's been picked so many times.
They did
don't
also
even
just
have to mention.
Lose to it last game that we didn't get to see. They did just get kind of owned by it, so I think it makes sense to take that away.
Yeah, take away the Inara, but even if that wasn't the case last game, Inara is a pretty strong first pick. We see that happen a lot and very, very consistently enough to where that makes sense. Atlas Mave, though, on the side of Celestial Esports, I believe that's picked to sort of maybe counter out whatever dive Mixalazeub might try and draft here if there's anything, if that's going to be anything they're going to end up picking. because we saw it the first time that they banned it in the very first game that we saw on Brightmarsh. So we'll only be able to tell as the game goes on. Maldamba and Droxus. I can't forget that Vivian is still left open. Got to see what team's going to get that character. I would imagine Celestial have to lock it in now. Might be their healer and their last DPS, if anything.
That would make the most sense if they wanted to take one of those. Maybe they could even do an off tank. I mean, again, Ruckus is still open if they wanted to go that direction, but they're going to go Victor instead. So Victor, I guess if they think Vivian might struggle on this map, which I don't think she does. I think this is one of her better maps, but Victor, it is also one of his best. Even in metas where Victor wasn't really being played, Victor was playable on Stone Keep because of the range, because of the grenade, a lot of different factors coming together. I distinctly remember playing against VP in the Paladins World Championship qualifiers 2 years ago, 2018, I believe. And we picked Victor Willow, and afterwards Elvin Path came up to us and was like, how did you learn this? This is EU strategy. Like, how did you know about Victor Willow? Like, so Victor clearly has been making the rounds on Stone Keep for quite a while. And Mixalazeub now, their last 2 picks to deal with the DPS that they know is on the other side, and they're going to get Kinessa. So they have a sniper that can poke down most of the things here, but I expect that to be Big Shield Atlas coming out from Celestial. So there's a couple seconds that will give Celestial a chance to maybe set up their dive and get onto Nauk on this Kinessa.
Yeah, seems to be they have a pretty strong backline. They've got a great flank to try and put on that pressure on the Victor, make him as uncomfortable as possible. But you're running double flank here. And that's what I'm a little bit concerned about, is the fact that it is double flank into the Victor on the side of Celestial Esports. And then you have Maeve Ruckus. This is, I personally, Kresnik, I don't see either team, even with the Anar on the side, going to the point. I don't think that's possible because both teams are going to be trying to get to the back line. They will be very
sad if they do.
Yes.
That's really what it is. Like, they can go to the point.
Right.
I don't think they'll win if they go to the point, but they can sure as hell try to at least stand on the objective in the core of everything. But that triple DPS, I cannot stress this enough. And I have literally said this every day for the last 3 weeks. Most of the time, barring a big skill difference, triple DPS does not win on Stone Keep.
Okay.
And that's all I have to say about it. It just does not have the defensive power. It doesn't have the pushing power. The only thing they really have to rely on, I would say, is that sniper. It is now on that Kinessa. That is kind of their last bastion when they actually manage to hold. But until they get to that point, it's going to be really difficult for them to actually hold this space because the tanks are just going to bully through one of the sides and they don't have the health pool to stop it. Either way, we'll see if they do anything maybe to make up for that, if they have anything in mind to deal with these tanks as we head into the game.
Yeah, and I'm a little bit concerned about that too, Kresnik, just the fact that they have those 2 frontliners on their side, and really it could have been any 2 frontliners, and it's a matter of being out-sustained, being outlived. Survivability is a huge thing here, and it's what tanks and frontliners do the best. They live. Regardless of whether they have a healer or not, they're good at living. They're good at not dying. So that's something that they'll have to keep in mind here, especially when I know they're going to get dove upon in the back line, especially with that Kinessa on their side. But let's see how everyone goes about doing this. And what did I say? Immediately. Already in the back, is engaged in a fight, 1v1. Otev going to come on top of this one. Uber's Payday comes to the back and gets 1 kill. Look at this. What did I just say during the draft? Both teams are just ignoring the point, just going straight for the kills in the back. They find another kill on two. Uber's Payday finds another. That's a double for him. And now they want to see how they can submit themselves in this fight. You know, honestly, I would pause the game too after what just happened.
Take a
because
breather,
I didn't understand
man.
what happened. Yeah.
Like they're just like,
everyone relax.
Okay, we just got rolled by Uber's on Eevee. Breathe, figure it out. I mean, they did give Uber's Payday Eevee. That is a scary prospect. He's already gotten 2 in this fight, and they have definitely more to worry about, as it looks like, just by judging from who has 0 ult charge right now. I'm assuming Slopodopolis disconnected and should be back shortly, but he's still in a good position. He's still right next to his Grover. He'll be able to fight off Uber's Payday if he tries to recontest, and the rest of Mixalazeub don't really have positioning. They are kind of knocked fairly far back. Pekka is walking to the point now, trying to get back in, but we get back into game and take a look at exactly how they do it, and you guys missed it. I'm so sorry. Uber's actually just hit 2 sick cross-map shots to kill Slop while he was up top. Oh no, I'm just not fast enough to keep up with him, Fawn.
Yeah, I mean, that's a very unfortunate thing to be able to know about, but In the long run of things, it seems like we'll still be able to keep in contact with most of the rest of this match, I should say. 66% already for Mixalazeub, a beautiful mid-air stun as well onto the Ruckus is going to allow them to not only make sure they now have even more control over the point, but that now can just sit here and do Kinessa things like sit in the back, being uncontested, and find kills exactly like that. 96% for Mixalazeub means that, of course, they obviously are in the lead here. Klosar has to find some sort of way to stall for a little bit longer, but he's going to go ahead and concede that one. He knows he won't be able to stay in tune with that Inara for very much longer. Mixalazeub are going to take that first point for themselves.
Honestly, watching Klosar dance around the big wall was really sad. Just because he knew that the Kinessa was on the other side of it. So he's just, I really don't want to step to the other side, but alright, I have to avoid a little bit of Inara damage. I'll give it a shot. Maybe he's not instantly headshot for 1800 damage. That's just the pain of playing against a sniper sometimes when you're playing an off-tank like that. But they're kind of reeling from this pick that they had. They lose their Andrew. Uber's still trying to poke, but just forces out the second chance. But the health up top, Vaughn, it's not looking good.
No, it's not. Otev is actually going to be able to get healed up thanks to the Grover, but even still, Uber's holding high ground pretty much by himself. It actually forces out the barrage here, or at least they want to try and see if they can cement something onto Princess Pekka. They're killing, or at least doing a lot of damage to her, but she's still not dead. That Damba with a perfect Dread Serpent as well. Look at how much she's still alive despite all of that. What just happened? She lived the entire time. The Mount Damba kept her alive long enough, and beautiful Dread Serpent to make sure that when they did dive onto her, they couldn't cement the kill. It made sure that Davizzi, the rest of Mixalazeub, could come in and make sure they could provide the PO necessary enough to keep her alive.
I peeked my mic so hard, and I'm so sorry, but I have no idea what I just witnessed here. Look at this flank. Devosi kind of making up for this space that they had rooted, though. He's rooted in the middle. Oh, Xenos destroys him, actually, but at least Mixalazeub take a trade kill out of it. They catch Toot. Just a little bit more picks there for them, but Ubers is still running rampant here on the flank.
Double kill already. Will he be able to get the kill onto the Atlas? It seems like that's his target, though. The Grover in the back line is what he has his eyes set on to. Barrage is there, but Nauk says, nope, Barrage is not incoming at all. He heard the Storm Siren, took the warning, and made sure he planned accordingly for that. The Ice Storm gets dropped down. The Hexafire, not sure why that was quite used, but is still going to not find the mark that it was going to be utilized for, if anything. Otev, of course, tries to see if he can stop Princess Pekka here along with the rest of the team as they are still contesting as best as they can. Maldamba's still in the back healing, and you have to find some sort of way to deal with him. Yes, Toot all the way in the back once again, but still gonna get killed here. Grover gets taken out too. They have to answer this Maldamba. The entire time Maldamba was just sitting in arches all the way in the back, but he was not hiding anywhere. He was just sitting there, just T-posing, just very dominantly, aggressively if anything, and no one was able to stop him.
Look at this 9-0 performance so far from Ubers. And Devosi's also actually putting on an absolute show so far, but he has died also 5 more times. All 9 kills from Celestial are spread across 2 different players on their team, but clearly they're staying alive from it, right? The heals are going to the Eevee, they're going to the Inara, obviously, from what we've seen already, and it's been working for them. They're keeping the right players alive. They're okay with now dying if he trades a lot of damage out for it, and this Damba is literally doubling the health, the healing from Xenos, while still bringing some great utility. He has the stuns, he has the fears, anything else your team could want, plus that extra DR. And Otev, slowing them down, but for how long?
15% available to him on the side of Mixalazeub, but that midnight is what they wanted to force things off of, and it seems like, or not the midnight, excuse me, they wanted to force things out of the fight here on the engage, but Otev finds himself a nice double kill. That's a great look. Toot now wants to move in, trying to sweep around behind him. See if we can put pressure on him by Fireplace, but Davizzi makes it through. Don't know where he is, but they are finding the shots necessary. Vine Grip goes out, manages to escape. The Grover heals. 2 different targets, one on the point, the other one by Church. Atlas, Victor still alive, but how much longer? What a beautiful exile, if anything, to make sure it sets up for the Hexafire. They found the damage, but he manages to slither his way out. Princess Pekka is still alive, but for how much longer? It doesn't seem like it's going to last for very much longer, if anything, but we do have Eevee. Not going to be able to make it on in time. Didn't want to commit the soar. Wanted a way out. Now finds a beautiful shot onto Otev. Manages to get that kill. Celestial Esports find themselves with 1 point against Mixalazeub.
He didn't need to commit the soar. He had the blink onto point. He just held on to his wormhole because he was waiting to see overtime. It was already over. He needed to die anyway, so smart decision, I think, at the end of the day here. Toot now very isolated. The shield actually kind of saves him from a little bit of damage, and this might actually set up a collapse from them. Ubers goes down. Lars is so low, and the aggression is just being followed up on so well.
Yeah, it seems like for the most part that they're in pretty heavy control here on the side of Celestial Esports. For instance, P.E.K.K.A is pretty low on ground level, up in high ground. Slop is holding it pretty effectively. And oh my good, I couldn't understand what happened right there because of the fact that they all just died. But
if they pulled up the kill recap in game right now, we would just say what?
Yeah,
it wouldn't have a single number on it at all.
Yeah, it happened so fast that my analysis is it really do be like that. That's all I can say about it in that scenario. I mean, there's nothing else that they could have done in that case, but let's see how they'll be able to handle it on the back end here as the cart's still rolling right on through. They're trying to be able to contest, but they lose one in the process of that. Princess P.E.K.K.A gets crippled, doesn't have the Earthen Guard as well. The DR isn't available to him. Rory gets tossed out, but the rest of them are being zoned out so heavily. Now still goes down, 2-2 tie already. Celestial Esports, make sure they go down swinging if anything. And is there anything that really stood out to you during that last fight, Kresnik, or at least I should say the last round? Because it seemed like everything's moving at like a mile a minute. This happened on Brightmarsh, the very first game where it was back and forth. What stood out to you during that last fight?
The use of the whirlwind, I would say, by Xenost was probably the most impressive thing for me. I think he saved his team with it. He topped them all off. He used it aggressively early in the game, and that's kind of how you have to play it. When you don't have that consistent cauterizer really up, it was kind of just Nauk and Ubers, who isn't really consistent at the end of the day because he's an EV. Xenos, you just spend those whirlwinds in the early game when you get them. Just throw them out there because they're going to be a lot better at the start of the game than they are going to be at the end of the game. Won't have it for this mid, but hey, he's going to have a lot of CC. He's going to have a lot of utility for his team. We'll see if that can help him turn around to live through this pressure early by Ubers.
Obviously finds one, but they want to move to the back line. They want to take care of Nauk, but they lose 2 members on the way in. It's not what you want to see from that type of performance on a dive composition. They lose 2 of them, and now the 3 remaining members on the side of Celestial Esports have to find a way out, but they're just getting melted. One gets taken down. Now the next one will be Slopodopoulos, Closar, Slop, both go down, and the ones on the way in now have to play even more back. They can't overextend because of the fact that they have so much in their back pocket. OTF finds one, but they lose so much in the core of that. The Midnight even goes out, but you're still going to go down in the long run. They use the Dread Serpent on point. They don't want to make sure that anyone else can touch in the last few seconds here. The Barrage gets used. Princess P.E.K.K.A is eating all of that. We eat those, if anything. 99% overtime still being a factor here now that they have to keep in mind. Celestial finds the kills, but it's so back and forth that it seems like Mixalazeub are still in control here. Xenos was able to touch at the very last second, but the Headhunter is going to cement the fact that they're not going to be able to touch here, because the minute they do, they're going to lose all their health. 3-2, Mixalazeub.
Ubers just bought so much time in the backline. Even when he didn't get any kills, was just surviving at the end. I mean, Nauk had the time to come back in and actually find those kills, find that damage. They were all staring at the EV and the Ice Block, so he was able to get away with it. And 2-2 can't get away with anything. Caught out by that Inara, even without the big shield being able to save him as they keep up the pressure in main. So much damage coming in, and Gover just can't keep up. This Inara is just running him down.
Already OTEV finds at least a good kill onto Nauk, but they're trading things out 1-for-1. OTEV in charge, low. Can't really peek out again, waiting for the out-of-combat healing to take a factor, but Ubers doesn't want to wait for this one to be the case. He's not going to allow them to have that out-of-combat healing. He's going to take care of them. Same thing can be said for 2-2, though. That's a 2-for-2 trade so far. But even still, 1 minute and 40 seconds up on the clock here. Plenty of time, but the cart seems to be rolling uncontested for the most part. It's not that far up, but it is up enough to where they should be concerned and looking for an opportunity to try and stop them here. Xenos is trying to find the damage where he can, healing, doing his job the best way possible, trying to take those angles against Nauk. That's not going to work out too well for him, as it seems like in church, everyone's trying to fight here. They just take care of Princess P.E.K.K.A, but 2-2 still goes down. They're finding the axes around the corner, and Davazy's going to go down at the end of the day.
I mean, great. I mean, the hitbox from Grover Axe is pretty big. You can use it to poke around corners like that if you have good enough aim, and clearly Xenos has it. Also, hitting someone standing still doesn't take a ton of aim, but he still managed to make it work here. As Mixalazeub try to make a move, but he can't dismount 2-2. No, dude, he gets all the way in, and they have to spend the Dread Serpent just to peel off him.
He has to find a way out here, as it seems like Ruckus wants to try and find a way to escape. Now he's going to go down, tries to use a headhunter, see if he can take care of Otep. Not going to be the case. Otep, Slop are both going to find 3 kills in total between the two of them. 39 seconds remaining as now Uber's Payday has to make it out. He has 10 HP, but he can't because Closar is ready to run him down. 2-2 finds another kill on Davizzy while he's behind. The rest of them on the side of Mixalazeub, they're trying to make their way in, are going to be able to escape a beautiful setback from Closar. Is going to make sure that Naut gets put into the dirt. Now the rest of them, they're going to be able to hold on with whatever they have remaining. Princess Pekka, she might go down here as the divider goes up. You have Tutu, you have Sloppy, you have Otep still finding plenty of kills when they're trying to make their way back to the cart. That's all they want to be able to do, but it's hard enough for them as is. There's not going to be any time for them to even touch to make it overtime, so it's going to be a 3-3 once again.
And Mix can't be feeling good about this purely because they don't have Dread Serpent, they don't have the Headhunter. They will charge fast-ish, I mean, especially because this Damba is kind of just doing crazy healing and CC in general here to protect his team down to 5 deaths. 2 less than Xenost, and probably keeping up the healing department. We can check about that back up on that shortly. But they just really want that Dread Serpent, I think, specifically to peel off Tutu, because Tutu just throwing himself into the backline. He is doing a fantastic job distracting them, keeping them under pressure. Dying quite a bit, but always making room for his team and burning resources. We'll see how he decides to engage this. He can be our person to watch on this mid. As the heal lead actually from the Damba is diminished a little bit too. 10,000 now separates, well, 15,000 separates instead of 10,000 more healing from the Grover compared to last time that we saw the comparison. But look at this dive. He makes it all the way in the back. Horse is now going to spawn and uses the Hexafire.
Ooh, but the Ice Block is going to go up. That's what's important here. The one person that you would have been able to kill is going to be able to not only escape, but make sure they get that kill. But even still, they won the fight on the objective. This is what they've wanted. They use the barrage. Davizzy makes it on, manages to stop Slop in his tracks, but even still, he takes so much damage on the way in and ends up getting killed regardless of that. 51% for Celestial Esports, as now they have still maintained control, and everyone's respawn timers have pretty much been staggered. Tutu in the back once again tries to dive, and they still get the kill despite all of that. Tutu is still alive, but not for much longer. Uber's Payday is going to make sure that they at least get rid of the Ruckus here. For the long run of things, it seems like they have 99% for Celestial. It's back and forth, if anything, and they still have the opportunity to potentially even win this fight.
And it looks like they are going to. Devosi takes this area. He's trying to push. Just has to be careful not to get rooted here. But wait, they don't know Tutu's here. They don't know. I think he's going to get the touch for sure. They have absolutely no idea that the Ruckus made it in. He's just going to go. He's not even going to go for the point. He doesn't even care. He's going to go for the back when he turns around. But Celestial already lost one. They're going to have to rely on the shield, and now they're going to be down 2.
Oh, no. He had to go for the back. It was unfortunate, but he had to find some sort of way to go back there. Ice Block, Earthen Guard, both of them preventing the exile from even being used here. All the way in the back, Xenos is there. He's finding the kills, but they're on point. The barrage might pay off, though. They got rid of Princess Pekka. They got rid of the people in the back line, and Nauk wasn't able to do enough damage. Shoutouts to Xenos in the back line, taking matters into his own hands, getting that kill, and making sure that they could submit that win for them. Celestial Esports, they run away with this one.
They just won a 3v5.
Yeah.
They had no reason to win that. Grover just walked at them. He just walked at them with the axe. He was doing no damage. He was standing in a gourd. That was the worst possible way for that to go. It's Celestial still taking it away from Mix. And you know what that is? That is, and I hate to say it, that's a mental crusher, Fawn. That is a absolute crushing blow to the mental, sledgehammer to it. That is, the mental has been dripped in liquid nitrogen, pulled out, and shattered on the floor if I'm on the side of Mixalazeub. You know, someone's like, how did we lose 3 versus 5? That someone
that is a call out, or not even a call out. That is a concern you would have if you were on if you were on Mixalazeub's team. If there were 5 of you there, Xenos is in the back 1v1ing somebody. He gets the kill, and they still lose that despite all of that. I don't really know what to say here other than let's look at the post-game stats. That's about it. That's all I can really say in a situation like that. 12, 10, and 14 for Uber's Payday, 14 and 13 for Nauk. Davizzy, 19 and 15. 9 deaths for Princess Pekka, but 21 assists and plenty of objective time under her belt. That's for sure. 21 assists as well for Maldamba. Man, that is unfortunate for Mixalazeub. I mean, they did well, but Celestial just literally sweeps that one from out under them.
The flankers actually both doing a great job on both teams. 19 and 14, 19 and 15. Devosi and Otev pretty much hand in hand, honestly, when it comes to, I mean, how they performed on the map in general. But Celestial take another one away in a row. I will say, again, this is the second map that they've won in a row. We did not get to see map number 2, but Celestial did manage to win that in a 4-2. So now, I mean, surprise, surprise, we're going to another map, of course. It's going to be Mixalazeub's pick. And it's actually going to be very fun.
Okay.
One guess for what map it's going to be.
Okay. One guess.
One guess. And it's the obvious one.
Is it Bazaar?
Bazaar is the obvious one?
I mean, we've seen Bazaar be brought out when it goes to
It's
game
also
5.
banned, but I also didn't... It's game 4.
Okay.
What is the obvious map that has not been played?
Okay, so you got rid of Jag, Bright, Stone.
It's the obvious one. I can't make it any more clear.
I'm really overthinking this one.
It is so obvious.
It has to be Ice Mines, right?
No, it's Splitstone.
Oh right, yeah, duh. Okay, I listen. There are a lot of maps that get picked towards the tail end of how these sets normally go.
Split gets picked first all the time. Split is like the start map that's left. It's Splitstone. Mixalazeub's pick. They lost that map, so they get to maintain their first pick. And I don't know what you change up in draft. Maybe you get rid of the Ruckus if it's a problem. Do you go for the Grover after what Xenos was able to do to you without team support? I mean, there's a lot of ways to change it up.
I mean, true, and you could still draft in those snipers if you want to. I mean, we saw Kinessa once again on the Stone Keep beforehand. Maybe they'll go for it again. I'm not too sure. It didn't seem like it didn't go too badly how I was expecting it to go on both sides, honestly. Both of their backliners still doing sufficiently well. The Victor, the Kinessa, both of them still bringing out pretty prominent damage numbers and still making sure they have a positive KD at the end of the game. Rom Ash gone on the side of Mixalazeub, and Genos is going to be banned on the side of Celestial Esports. There is one more. It's going to be Corvus, which makes the most sense. Ruckus is still open once again, but so is Vivian. Again, interesting that people aren't banning her, but do you feel like is really that because of the fact that they feel like they've sort of found a counter to Vivian, like it's just developed long enough to where people aren't as scared of her, or what is it?
Teams in Europe think that Eevee and Willow are like hard counters to Vivian.
Okay.
I disagree. Okay. Obviously, if I haven't made that clear enough in these last couple of games, I disagree. I think Vivian is counterable, but just picking Eevee is not the way to do it. So we'll see maybe if Mixalazeub continue down that line. I mean, I think it would make sense to keep trying to give Ubers Eevee. Why not? He looked great on that map, even if Devoze, I think, ran away with it near the end. But they're actually going to take away the Ruckus. So now they are aiming a little bit more towards Celestial and trying to stay in their own comfort zone. And here's a good hybrid of that, right? Grab that Androxus. You looked great on it on the last map, even if you lost. They looked even better on it on the map we didn't get to see. So pick up that Andro. He'll do a fantastic job, and he'll be able to dive in with that Ruckus.
Yeah, it seems like so far that they have a very good dive composition once again, on at least one of the teams. But you've got Maeve, Valdamba, Vivian. Hey, you mentioned her name. She's going to show up eventually. Vivian is back into the fray here, and I'm sure that's going to be something that they have to play into. That's going to be very annoying for Ruckus or anyone that might try and dive into the backline on her. Ruckus, Androxus, Ying, and Willow on the side of Mixalazeub, which just reinforced what you were saying earlier.
There's the hard counter. There it is. Why even pick Vivian? She's hard counter now. She's not going to do anything. If she gets one kill this game, wow.
GG. GG in chat. That's all I can say about that one. So Willow being the last pick here, I mean, that just reinforces what you were saying earlier. Europe does believe that Willow really is a hard counter to Vivian. Only time we'll be able to tell. I mean, when this match starts, we'll see whether they're in the right here or in the wrong, I believe. But Strix is going to be the last pick, as it is going to be at least one of the snipers to sort of, I'm not sure, honestly. I mean, why the Strix last? I mean, is there anything else that you see that could have been a better pick here, especially into their comp?
Strix is fine. They didn't really have a standard backline. Vivian's going to take that blaster position. They're going to have the Vivian playing inside of the quarry side, more than likely, having the Strix up top, spamming, sniping onto them. So I think it makes sense to have one of the better backlines be up there. He'll also fare pretty well into the Andro as long as he can kind of sneak away before Illuminate really comes online. Well, I will answer very quickly a message from chat, because we can do that on the community broadcast. I'm the one in charge. I don't have to answer to Jared, Ray, or Tyler backstage when I'm doing this. Someone asked, why does Kresnik have to manually enter the picks? Well, because originally there was only going to be one day of broadcast for the Paladins Pro Circuit, and I said that I wanted to make sure they were all broadcast, so we basically discussed everything, and we got broadcast days to happen on Friday and Saturday, but because of the team working on Smite, I have to run them. So I am literally... I'd turn my camera around if it was professional enough to do it, but I'm running the draft, I'm working the camera in the game, and all of that you need to see. And what we need to see right now is the game itself, but actually I have to change the names in game because I have to restart my client every single time. So Fawn, if you want to fill until I get us into game, why not?
Sure. All right, so looking at both drafts here, I mean, you have the Atlas. I mean, I feel like we talked a lot about the drafts in general, but with how these sets have been going up until this point in time, yes, truly living up to the Halloween spooky.
Oh, yeah, nope. I thought you were going to say living up to the Kresnik broadcast expectations. I was like, wow, thanks, man. Really cool of you, with Pekka now standing on the point here, getting some cap time.
No, I wouldn't say that in a situation like this, but it seems like the reversal goes out on the side of the Androxus. It blocks a little bit, but they still lose 2 members on their team on the side of Mixalazeub to make that 3, if anything. Celestial are still in control here, but you know that Vivian's counter is working out for him very well. This is 27%. They have now made it leaps and bounds over the percentage that Mixalazeub have had for a little bit. And even still, they're even able to get a better zone from it at the end of the day. You have 2 of them being taken care of. Because of that, you got a situation where now everyone on the way in is going to go down. Now, before I pass it off to you, the Vivian counter, it's working great, right? Like, the Willow's really providing a lot of pressure here.
Fun, she's got to scale. She has to scale, Fun. Let her scale, okay? Wrecker 2 at the very least. Did he even start Wrecker? Let's take a look and see here. No, so no counter to the shield there as the Vivian close are staying alive in quite a bit of damage here in the core of the team. And no one's really killing Pekka, though. He wasn't looking in the right position, and they've already lost Slop on the rest of this push.
Yeah, there's already a 1-for-1 trade so far, but the cart really hasn't stopped rolling on forward. If anything, 2-2 moves in, or sorry, not 2-2, Davazy. Actually, I thought it was 2-2. Just basically because that's all I've been seeing on Ruckus, but Davazy's actually on the Ruckus this time around. That's going to be a good look so far, especially since they managed to turn the kills towards their side of Mixalazeub's bracket here. 1 minute and 45 seconds available as Celestial manages to get 1 kill. Otev manages to punish Nauk for pushing a little bit too far forward, out of position and out of mind here, especially with 1 minute and 30. Only 10 seconds have passed, but the fight has been evolving pretty quickly. Despite that, feels a lot longer, at least I should say, as they managed to get 2 kills on the way in almost instantly.
And look at this pressure by Otev. I haven't gotten off his POV because I figured he was going to continue to pop off. Lars also isolated and picked off here as the cart continues to move for Celestial. Only the Inara up, but they have a couple people in the back line. I mean, specifically Devozy behind and waiting for his right chance to go in. But he needs his team. He needs someone there to follow up with them. His Slop just stealths away. And that's Strix for you. He lives and gets that burst damage in as well.
Already they find not only 1 kill, but they find 2 for Celestial to work out for him. You have Inara not really lasting for much longer. The Earthen Guard is there. Sure, you got 2 Ying clones behind her, but she's not going to live once the Earthen Guard goes down, plugging in a lot of shots into Willow. It's Slopodopolis managing to find good positioning and even better damage into them. Quick scope 1. Will he find the other? The reversal goes out, and he's holding that angle as hard as he can. Davazy with the double kill. Meanwhile, while all this is happening, you have 30 seconds remaining on the clock. They're not going to be able to move this one forward. 25 seconds, if anything. It's going to be hard for Mixalazeub, or not Mixalazeub, excuse me, Celestial, to make it back to touch onto the objective to see if they can roll this one in, or I could be...
All right, well, he tried, and they're not even turning around. Why even move, Devozy? Just sit right here, see how long it takes them to realize that you're there, as Nauk almost gets picked off and burnt away. They're finally moving in. They still don't see him here. This is the Halloween surprise, and he catches Slopodopolis on the retreat, not knowing that Ruckus managed to sneak right past him. Devozy doing a great trigger discipline, Fawn. Trigger discipline is so important here. He was actually, I don't know if you know this, but Devozy, actually an artist. He was sitting there doing a still life the boiler there on Quard, and eventually had to pick off Slopadopoulos because they were just getting in his way. He wasn't able to get the level of quality that he wanted to because everyone was just walking right in front of him. So unfortunate for them. And now Vivian, the one picking up this wrecker, still not picked up by this Willow. Man, this hard counter really struggling to hit its mark, as Klosar has more assists than his Damba currently. But see how this looks for them. Surprising that the Ying, I would say, is getting out-healed by the Damba. I think the Ying, you would expect maybe a little bit more from that, considering they don't bring anything else to the table other than that healing. But Otev right now slowing down this dive, and the Dread Serpent stopping it dead in its tracks.
Great Dread Serpent as well, and that forces Nauk and Davizzi into the grave here. Beautiful shot from Papadopoulos, 1800 directly into the Anar. It gets rewound, another 1800, and some more shots from Celestial are going to make sure they submit this one. Once again, Otev moving in, trying to get into the back line, finding the daggers that he needs to provide a lot more for his team. They use the Midnight, makes it hard for them to push in. It makes it hard for Davizzi to leave, especially when you get set back in a fashion like that. 63% for Celestial against the 6% that Mixalazeub have only been able to scrape by. The Accursed Arm directly point blank. Not going to quite find the mark exactly. Going to end up using the setback, but not going to be able to find it in the long run. Seismic Crash hits the ground, finds the mark, and finds the stun. But even still, they are the ones that are in control here, at least for a little bit longer. Slop, where is Slop? Slop is actually over there in the back. He was in their spawn, killing them in its entirety. He finds one in plenty, turns around, manages to get the flashbang, finds another kill, looks at the Androxus. He's going to get taken down, not by Slop, but by Otev. The perfect support, if anything, from his teammate.
And Klosar here now to help clean up with a little bit more damage. Pekka low and should fall to Otev, who's actually on the good side of that wall, but somehow not getting this. Fawn.
Yes.
What just happened? What did I just witness? I don't know what happened with Otev, but Pekka apparently clutches that out. But now Klosar's actually got a flank. He's in the middle of their team, and Tutu can't even afford to turn around for him.
Oh, they already find the kill, just as they were looking for, but at the same time, Vivian's not giving up. How much health does Tutu have? He's been sitting on that for a long time. In Mineshaft the entire time? No one's...
About 400. But he's good. They just ignored him. They walked right past him. Didn't see him again. These tanks seem to be invisible today, no matter what team they're on, as Tutu continues to maintain control of this flank area and draws 3 people to him.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, he's going to be able to have the rewind too. Make sure he gets all that health back. Puts up the divider as well. The Hexifier goes out, manages to find one. They get rid of Klosar. How much more would they be able to find? Slop still being able to find those kills. Pretty much uncontested for most of the time. Aldamba's living with no HP in the corner. Goes into Mineshaft, walks to his own gourd. They're going to be able to take care of Princess Pekka. Minute and 20 seconds still remaining as Nauk finds the shots, but won't find the kill. He's going to have to respect that a little bit more. He hears those footsteps. He knows he's around there somewhere. Reversal goes up. Accursed Arm. Not in this house. No way. This Mineshaft is mine. I'm going to make sure that you don't have any say in how this is going to go. But thankfully, Otev is there to at least even up the odds here. But I'm sure Nauk is going to type in word in chat if anything.
I mean, if you could do general chat, but he'll have to do a personal DM to somebody if he wants them to know how he felt, how worthwhile it was. Celestial, they have a shot here. They are about to have 5 ultimates. Mixalazeub actually have already used a few, so they could get a little bit more aggressive here. Devosi taking so much damage from Otev, but Pekka is just kind of stuck right now up top, and they're going to be backing up right into the scope of Slopadopoulos. He's already set up on this far right side. Devosi falls, and both hit scans prepare to move inside mines.
Able to move in, they find the headshot and find the kill. Uber's paid, he goes down. That he is moving right now on the side of Slopadopoulos. He's finding so much damage, moving in time and time again. The stealth is keeping him alive, and no one else is really able to touch Davizzi. Was able to get on because what's he gonna do? He's just gonna end up dying, if anything, trying to dive on the cart. And I think personally, last round it was really in Slop's hands. I mean, he was able to find so many kills. I thought they were going to lose the mid fight on the side of Celestial until I realized that Slop was just in the back line. He was just in flank, killed 2 people, and then swapped his targets to who were oppressing the people on the objective already on the side of Celestial Esports. So I think they have to do something about that sniper, honestly, personally.
That's just the power of Strix, right? I mean, not only is he one of the best backlines in the game, he's also one of the best flankers in the game, just because of having, you know, more damage than Shaolin, a little bit faster, and he's hit scan, and he can go invisible, and every time he goes invisible, he gets 50% speed if you have the right build, and of course the kills that you get from your 1200 damage burst quickscope hit scan ability also give you more 50% movement speed. So it all kind of works together to help Shaw get away with get away with quite a bit here, but not getting away with anything might be Otef here as he gets caught out by all the DPSs spread across by Mixalazeub.
They managed to kill one, kill the other. 2-2 slop, 1 kill apiece, making it 2. Dread Serpent in the mine shaft, making sure they can't really force anything here. Davies is trying to escape. He is running for his life, if anything. They're trying to get out, but Otef, he's going to be the one that's definitely going to kill him. He can catch up to him if no one else can. And even still, Closar's up here, up in top, in the high ground, just staring down everybody up there. Manages to find some damage, but obviously won't find the kill quite yet. 600 damage onto the Androxus. Tickles him a little bit, but still is something he has to keep in mind here as the Midnight gets forced out. They are going to be able to find something here. They find Ying, and what will Uberspady find off of the back of this Fayfly? He's looking at 2-2. He's finding the damage. Will they find the kill here? He's not finding the mark quite yet. Now on the side kills Otef in lava, but now Davizi, Uberspady all get swept under the rug almost instantly. Seismic Crash is the last-ditch effort here. Speaking of last-ditch effort, I think that might be the last opportunity they would have had to stop anyone from making it to Cart, seeing if they could contest Celestial Esports. Take this one by storm.
I didn't want to get off the screen because I wanted that deja vu to come back down, Fawn. I was just sitting there waiting for it to actually land, but it didn't end up coming all the way back down. Celestial run away with the entire set, basically. Again, didn't get to see game 2, but they looked pretty in control of the games that they managed to play. I mean, Mixalazeub had their moments, had flashes of brilliance, I think, but that Ruckus really wasn't hitting the same way that it was when it was being piloted by Celestial, in my opinion. I feel like Devozy kind of just ran circles around the back, and it wasn't really doing the same thing that it was doing for Celestial, because with Celestial, it was always going to a specific point for a specific reason, right? It was going in to distract someone else, to help them out, to actually come in and collapse. But it wasn't doing that here. He was just bringing them back, and they'd run back, and then Slop would be like, "Oh, positioning for me?" And then he would just take that, and when they'd come back in from it, they would end up falling to him.
Yeah. Looking at the stats page here as well, you have 74,000 for Otef, and he was able to find so much damage on a lot of these different targets, and it really made all the difference in its entirety when you had situations like when Davizi was trying to be run down and Tutu can catch up and he was able to submit those kills. That is more important than people think. You can do as much damage as you want to, but not being able to actually get the kill, that's going to be pretty important here. But look at the slash line. It's been 12-5 on Tutu, 12-5 on Closar, 13-6 on Otef, 3-2 on Xenos, 16-5 on Slopodopoulos.
Fawn, a combined 5-24 for Ying and Ruckus.
Yes.
Hard one there for them. I mean, if we can even add Inara for an 8-35. That's a tough look. That's a tough look for him. The Ying really not doing what it needed to do, dying a lot to the pressure from honestly just Otef. I mean, Otef pushes them forward, and then Otef, the Slopodopoulos, gets the cleanup from there by having that forward position that he's kind of being afforded with the way that he's playing, making things significantly harder for that Ying to survive. Couldn't really get the healing out that they needed, which made the Inara maybe have a tougher game. Just a very hard game all around for the members of Mixalazeub. Celestial, I think, kind of had that draft figured out. And they kind of at least maintain their 4th place position for now. But, I mean, Chromospace, I believe, are kind of just kind of knocking on the door of that. If they win out from here, they should be fine. But it could still be up for debate who makes it into the top 4 for Worlds.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be some absolutely banger sets when we start seeing more more as the phase goes on, and as the phase is really just going to end up coming to a close eventually. Soon. EU is one of those brackets, really, really soon. And EU is one of those brackets that we've seen so many things, time and time again, just back and forth of these different teams that we weren't quite expecting. Granted, at the very beginning of this set, we were talking about how that gap is widening, but even still, sure, they were only able to get one game overall today, but in the long run of things, they were able to make it a lot harder despite where they may have been seated, despite where these guys were actually going to be able to fight. But in the long run, that's all we have for the European bracket. We're going to go to a quick break, but when we come back, we'll be in the Brazilian region. Stay tuned, folks.